Hello, I'm Jonathan Parker. I'm the Program Director for Politics at Keele. In this video, I'll give you a sense of what's distinctive about politics at Keele, what the structure of the program is, exactly what sorts of classes you'll take if you come here, and give you a sense of what it's like to be a student here. So what's it like to be a student at Keele? The student body here has a really strong sense of community, and I think that certainly is the case amongst the politics students. There are going to be just over 100 of you who come in each year, and you're going to be taught in small groups, and you're going to get to know your other classmates. You're going to see them on campus. You're going to be in the same housing with them, and the staff are going to get to know you as well. I will know your names by the end of the first year. Most of the other staff will know who you are as well. There's going to be this strong sense of connection between people that we try to build up, and again is a really crucial part of the teaching here at Keele. Now again, there's going to be huge debate. This is a politics course, and you're not supposed to agree with each other, but because of these ties we have, because of the strong relationship students have with each other, you can debate each other vigorously, and you can still do that respectfully. You have a strong sense of tolerance for other people's views that runs through this program, and you can disagree with each other without falling out. It's a really important part of the lessons you need to learn at university, particularly studying politics, that you can disagree with people without having to completely hate them, and you can still be good, very close friends at the end of the day. Now, tied to that is, again, the ethos that all staff will teach here. If we've got some senior professors who are world-renowned for particular areas of politics, you're going to see them teaching in the small group seminars. You're going to be all the way through from the first year to the third year and beyond. So I'll see you in the first year. I teach the introductory module, Why Politics Matters. And again, it's really important that we get to know you throughout the entire program. You can see the results of this from our rankings in terms of teaching, that it is an important part of our ethos. Keele is very highly ranked in the NSS, third in England for politics, and in second, in fact, if you're just looking at the teaching scores. We have a very good international reputation for research. We have gold in the university TEF rankings, which are the government awards. And if you look at teaching awards, 2 staff members have won national teaching awards, and then another 5 staff members have won university level teaching awards of some kind. So you get the sense that this is a really important part of what we do. Now, in terms of what is really unique about Keele, tied to that is choice. We strongly believe in student choice and the way in which we structure our curriculum. So when you come to Keele, we're going to give you a certain amount of core courses in the politics program, and that will give you the basics you need to get started. You'll have the background you need to go on and do other things. But after that, we try to give you some flexibility to choose what you want to do. We figured that you're 18 years old in most of your cases. You haven't studied more than 3 levels or maybe 4 levels of advanced study at A level. And really you need some flexibility to try out new ideas, to try out other aspects of subjects, and to get a sense of what you like and what you don't like. And that gives you the freedom to design your own degree as you go through. And it means that you really are committed to the types of subjects that you study here. And that's a very important part of the degree at Keele. And again, I'll talk about that in more detail as we go on. The final thing would be study abroad. If you have any interest in going to see other countries or experiencing other cultures, seeing how other governments operate, again, this is one of the best places in the country to come to do that. We have a lot of different options for you that I'll cover as we go through. What will your first year look like if you come to Keele? Keele runs a 8-module year, which means you have 4 modules in each semester. And in terms of the politics program, if you're doing single honors politics, then you would take 2 core modules across the year. So in the first semester, you do Why Politics Matters, and in the second semester, you would take Modern Democracies. So that's 2 of your 8. Outside of that, you would then choose another 4 modules that are, again, from the elective choices you see on the slide. You can choose anything you want. After that, you have 2 final electives. Now, those electives can be from anywhere. They can be from outside the program. You can do a language. You could do some other subject that's tied very closely to what you want to study in politics, or you could do something completely different. So again, that's completely up to you. If you want to do more politics, again, you can choose that as your elective. So you can do 8 modules in politics if you choose to, but again, you have some freedom to do 2 of those 8 outside the program. Now, in terms of Why Politics Matters, this is the first course you take when you first arrive. We don't assume that you have A level in government and politics. About half of our students do, but half of them don't. So, if you haven't done government politics, don't worry. If you have, you'll have a slight advantage in terms of the first few weeks. You'll have done some of the factual detail that you won't have to catch up on, but it won't really matter to the cohort as a whole. Why Politics Matters covers the basics of the discipline. It asks the question, what is politics? If we want to study politics, what does that mean? Do we only study government? Do we just study things outside of government? Where would you find politics? What does it consist of? After that, we then look at particular concepts and how you build theories and how you use theories in a discipline. And that's where we look at the issue of terrorism, which is something that students find really exciting to study. And again, we try to take an academic approach to it, define what it is, try to get to the point where we can identify it when we see it and make observations about it and see what consistencies there are across terrorist acts across the world and across time. After that, we then look at democracy as a concept. Democracy is a really, really important aspect of Western government. Obviously, it's having troubles at the moment. There's an argument that populism is sweeping aside a lot of democratic values and that the democracies are actually quite vulnerable at this point in time. And again, we'll look at that. We'll look at what's going wrong, what are the basics of democracy you need for them to function, and how does that play out in what's happening to us today. And then finally, we'll look at ideology. Ideology is systems by which people organize their political values into particular groups of concepts. And we'll look at different ideologies, things like socialism or capitalism or liberalism, and the way in which these ideas have affected the way in which politics occurs in the modern era. And that's basically it for Why Politics Matters. Then in the second semester, you'll do modern democracies. This is a straightforward comparison of different democratic governments, trying to ask yourself the question, what is a democracy? What are the basic building blocks you have to see in each country? And then giving you a few countries to use as case studies to compare with each other. So we'll start with the United Kingdom, which is seen as the classic Westminster model of top-down parliamentary government. And then we'll start to compare that and see how that breaks out and alters when you compare it to a country like, say, France or Germany or the United States. Again, it will look very, very different, even though it might look, the United States in particular, looks very similar to Britain on the basics if you just look at an organizational chart. But when you actually look at the politics behind that, it's extraordinarily different. And this module gives you a good systematic way of approaching those differences, seeing how you can compare across countries, and seeing how you have to look beyond just the structures into how politics operates. Now, in terms of the electives, you have a lot of choice there. You can do a number of the ones. These are the ones within the politics and international relations degrees. You can choose anything you want from those. And outside of those, you can also choose 2 electives. Now, again, the electives can be something that's very, very close to what you're doing. So, for example, if you're doing American politics, I teach American politics, if you can tell from the accent. If you like American politics, you can do our course on debates in American politics. If you want more, you could go over to the history department. You could do a course in 20th century American history. And again, that would help bolster your degree and in terms of your interest in American subjects. So again, you have the option to use those electives to try to supplement what you're doing already. You can also use it to expand your range of skills and interests. You could do a language. If you're interested in being a diplomat or if you want to go work in a foreign country, then it would be a fantastic time to do a language as part of your degree. Now, if you continue to do this language, you don't have to have studied it before. You can start from scratch. But if you study it all through 3 years of your degree and you keep doing this as your elective, you can get a certificate of competence on your diploma at the end. And again, that's an extremely effective thing to do if you're looking for employability skills, things that employers like. Well, being fluent in French, if you ever want to go work in the EU, is a good idea, and that's a big part of the preparations you need to be a diplomat or to work in international business. Now, again, these electives are something that you can range completely outside and do something different. If you're not quite sure if you wanted to do politics, if you've chosen to do a combined honors degree in, say, politics and sociology or politics and philosophy, you can use those electives to try out other subjects that you may not have done very much in. Or you may have done an A level in one of these, and you think you might want to do your combined honors degree in that subject, and you're not just quite sure. Well, use your elective and do one of the core modules from that. Do a history module, do a philosophy module, try out something new, and see if it's for you. And again, if you do that in the first semester and you find that you changed your mind, we can work with that. And again, we can possibly shift your degree around so that you get exactly the subjects that you want without having to commit to them completely up front. And again, that's an important part of this. Choice means being able to change your mind as well as you go along. A decision that you make about what subjects you're going to do at the age of 16 should not, nail your absolute degree subject to the mast for the next, well, the entire lifetime. And again, these electives give you that chance to try out new ideas and to see if this is exactly the subject for you. Some of you may absolutely know politics is for you. You're like me, you're obsessed with this subject, you want to do nothing but politics. And again, that's fine. You can choose all 8 within that subject if that's what you want to do. Right, the second year is much easier to explain because we don't have any core courses. Using this notion of choice and the ethos of allowing you as much flexibility as possible to craft your own degree, we give you just all the options and let you choose them as you go along. And again, you can change your mind semester by semester as you go. You can try out new things. You could try US government in the first semester, and if you find you like that, you can pursue other modules that are similar in the second semester, or you can decide that's not what you want and you can try something new. But it's completely up to you. And again, this slide gives you a sense of how much choice you have there within politics. Again, don't forget you've got those 2 elective modules which run all the way through your degree. You can take them outside of the program. So again, if you want to do a language, that's fine. You can continue on with that alongside your politics modules. If you want to try to bolster it with other subjects, that's fine as well. The final year, right, this is where you begin to specialize even more. You've spent 2 years beginning to craft your interests, finding out what you like, trying to develop those interests and get some background in them. And this is where your 1 core module comes in the final year. This is your research project or your dissertation, which is going to be the absolute crown the jewel of your degree. This is where you pick any subject you want, any particular research project you come up with, and then we'll provide a one-on-one supervisor for you, and you will do that subject for the entire year. For example, as I teach American politics, quite a few of my students will be doing American projects. So, for example, one of my students picked up the notion of studying gerrymandering, and he was really interested in the way in which electoral districts are manipulated in the United States. And this was a year ago in which the midterms results were coming in, and it was fantastic. We had an election in which we could take all of the different models of gerrymandering, test them against the midterm results. And this student spent the entire year doing that, and he came up with an absolutely fantastic project. It was really exciting, cutting edge developments within that particular field. So again, this is your chance to choose any topic you want that you're interested in and pursue it to whatever level you want. And again, it's your chance to shine. It's not something you have to worry about at this point. You've got 2 years to develop this interest before you choose what you're doing. So don't worry about it at this stage. And again, somewhere around the end of your second year, we'll come to you and we'll say, have you thought about your dissertation? What do you want to do? Who do you want to work with? And again, this is something you can plan way ahead. And the more you plan this, the better it tends to be in the third year. Now, alongside that, of course, you can do the optional modules. So if you're doing a course on American politics, you can take an American module of the U.S. presidency. If you're doing a course on political history, then of course we have Britain in war since 1945. So again, you can choose the subjects that fit with your interests, that fit with what you're doing. Hopefully, that will fit with your dissertation as well. So you can supplement that specialization with some classroom work as well. Now, again, don't forget you've got those 2 extra electives, so you can continue to do modules outside the program if you wish to. The third year is usually when people tend to come in and specialize the most within politics. But again, that's completely up to you. And particularly if you're doing a language, this is the time where you can become really fluent in that language if you've been studying it since the first year. And it's a chance to really use that. And in particular, if you want to use that in your dissertation, that's fine. That would make it really original and something that would be worth doing. But again, the third year is, aside from the research project, which again is completely in your control, all the other choices are in your hands. Right, I promised I would talk about study abroad at Keele, and here is a list of our current partners. This gives you a sense of the amount of flexibility you have to choose what sort of place you might want to go to throughout the world. And again, this is nice because Keele gives you the flexibility of 2 different approaches to study abroad. The first one, which is the traditional one, is when you take a full year out. If you take a full year, you're going to add a year to your degree. So again, we don't charge you full tuition for this. Again, it's heavily discounted, so you're not going to be paying a huge sum of money to the university on top of all your other fees. It is a year out though, and it does add a year to your degree, but that gives you a full year abroad, which gives you much more flexibility on where you want to go, what sorts of things you want to do, and again, what sort of experiences you get from that. Now, if you don't want to take a full year out, that's fine. Again, a lot of students feel that they can't commit to that, and they don't really want to do that, but they'd still like to study abroad. And we have an option for you in the second year. You can do 1 semester abroad, in which you go, usually it depends on which country you're going to, but usually the first semester of your second year. Now, this is important to know before you come in, because if you choose that study abroad option, you've got to apply by December of your first year. So it's going to be a bit ironic, because when you arrive, one of the first things I'll do in one of the initial lectures is I'll say, welcome to Keele. Have you thought about leaving? Because we've got all these study abroad options you need to think about now. And so again, you need to know about this coming in, because it is something that hits you early. You've got a lot of things on your plate. You're thinking, you're meeting new people, you're getting used to new housing. It's a lot going on, and so it is difficult to get your head around this. But if you do want to do it, keep it in mind and have a look at the different options you have there. Again, most of our options, and these are where you would be taking your courses in English. So obviously the biggest 3 are going to be the United States, Canada, and Australia. In terms of those, the biggest by far is the United States. And so if you have any interest in American politics, this is a superb thing to do. I can teach you lots and lots about American politics throughout your degree at Keele. This is one of the best places in the country to do American politics, but that does not come anywhere close to the amount of learning you would get from actually living there. From experiencing it, from being in class with Americans, from hearing what Americans are like, talking to them, getting a sense of what they actually mean behind all the sorts of things they say, of asking them what they think about Donald Trump and things like that. So again, to go to a foreign country, to learn its culture, to really embed yourself in that, to get to know to live with and work with the people who grew up there, is going to teach you so much. Even better, it means that you're going to make friends in all these places, and then for the rest of your life, you'll be able to visit that country and hopefully stay with them. This is how I ended up here. I did an exchange program with Oxford University in my time at home. And at that point in time, that's what brought me back to the UK. It kept me coming back, and that's why I ended up here in the long run. So this is something certainly to think about. It's also the cheapest way for you to travel, which is it's not what you think about it going in. But if you think about it, you're going to be living somewhere for at least 6 months, if not a year. That means you're going to be, interacting with the people who grew up there. You're going to be asking people what sorts of things you should be seeing. You're going to be going there with people who grew up there, and natives are going to be able to show you all sorts of things that are not the tourist experiences. You are going to see parts of any of these countries that you would never see just going on some sort of world travels afterwards or as a tourist. So this is certainly something to think about. It's a fantastic option. Again, it's completely optional, and you can think about that at this time. But this is one thing you need to take into account when you're coming in, because it is easier to think about ahead of time before you first arrive. Right, if you'd like to keep up with the politics department at Keele, then again, we welcome you to check out our Twitter feeds. We have a Facebook account as well, and again, we occasionally write blogs on political subjects. So again, feel free to do this. If you have any questions, you're absolutely welcome to email us at the address you see below. If you have any questions, we are happy to get back to you about that. I've got some other videos that should be going up alongside this that will cover issues such as what sorts of reading preparation should I do in the summer if I want to get ready for my program. And I'll have lots of different options for you there. And then secondly, I'll do a video on exploring the different levels of choice you have within the programs, particularly looking at those electives outside of the program and seeing just how many options you have there and giving you a sense of what that is. And other than that, thank you very much for coming. I hope we see you in the fall, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.